Hi, my name is Abby Lamb and I'm a forestry lecturer here at Plumpton College, and I'm also a chainsaw instructor. It wasn't a particularly straight route for me because when I was in secondary school I went to my careers teacher and said that I wanted to work in woodlands and in forestry, and he said not to be ridiculous and gave me a prospectus to study business management. I did get derailed by that and I ended up doing business management and really didn't like it. I dropped out after a year, but in the meantime I started volunteering at a country park, and I found out then about the sort of jobs that were available in woodland management and forestry from the rangers that worked there. And then I went and studied at that point. And then I was very fortunate to get a great job in Loch Lomond, and a beautifully wooded site. And my employer put me through my chainsaw tickets at that point. I was really lucky. I worked with a really good crew. I was the only woman on a team that was sometimes as many as 40 men. So that was a little challenging, and I definitely had a lot of sexism in the early months. And I would say I did have to work a lot harder probably than a man would, just to not get a hard time. But actually I batted everything back with humour. All the sort of female, if somebody else got a tractor bogged down, it was because we were working in a bog. If I got a tractor bogged down, all the women driver jokes came out. But I just used to bat it back with humour. I had to really just kind of focus on me and focus on what I wanted to achieve, and not worry about what they thought. There still isn't as many women in the industry as there should be. There is no reason why there isn't. It isn't physicality. You get strong women and weak women. You get strong men and weak men. You get guys that are good with chainsaws. You get guys that aren't good with chainsaws. And this is not about gender. Available now in terms of, there is now dedicated chainsaw trousers and boots specifically meant for women. But because there's still not that much demand for it in the market, it means that the ones that are available are actually very expensive. So most women I know do just wear men's chainsaw trousers, and that's fine if they fit fine, yeah. But obviously women are a very different shape from men. I train quite a lot of women. I say quite a lot. I'd say it's probably less than 5% of all of the chainsaw courses that I do teach. So it's still very much in the minority. But I definitely don't feel like I experience at the same level of sexism, and some of that might be maturity now. I walk in a room and I'm clearly not some 20-year-old that's just picked up a chainsaw. But at the same time, I did ask my students recently. I had a cohort recently, and all male as usual, 4 of them, and I asked them whether or not when I walked in were they surprised that I was a woman. I've never asked a group that before. I only did it because I knew I was going to be having this conversation with you. And 3 of them said, yeah, they were still surprised. And one of them said no, and rightly he said, because women are now in every industry. But certainly, back in Scotland, yeah, I did definitely experience quite a lot of resistance. And I think what helps here is that I'm affiliated to a college. So when I walk into a room to teach a class, they know that I'm employed here, and so they must already be thinking, okay, well, she must know her stuff or she couldn't be doing this. But I do wonder whether if I was freelance, whether I would get the same, I would get the opportunity to run as many courses. 2 years ago, I had to have elbow surgery just from sort of over 30 years of throwing chainsaws around. And I thought it was interesting that when I was 50 at the time, and when I went to my GP and I spoke to my doctor about having the surgery, they said to me, how long did you think you were going to do this for a living? Kind of suggesting that that maybe I shouldn't, or that maybe I should be thinking about stopping at this age. And I did kind of think that it was probably unlikely that they would have that conversation with a man in a manual job, because 50 is very young to be giving up your manual work, isn't it? The thing I found was 30 years ago when I did my chainsaw tickets in Scotland, there were no female role models for me. I couldn't get kit to fit me. I couldn't get boots that were small enough. If a 17-year-old me was thinking about these courses and thinking, I don't know any women that do this, I would say, don't let that be a barrier. Absolutely, you know, follow your heart in what it is you want to do. If I'd listened to everybody else, I would not have had the amazing, fulfilling career that I've been fortunate enough to have.